Accessing peace. Existing without violence, with the ability to calmly resolve conflict. Downloading love. An overwhelming, deep, positive affection towards others. Activating liberty. Living your life as you see fit without infringing on the lives of others.
Welcome to Peace, Love, Liberty Radio, online at fppradio.com. I am your host, Darryl W. Perry, the Liberty Penguin, the Wombat, the uncut cocaine of libertarianism. And I want to talk to you about what I did last week. Now, I know I mentioned that I would not be doing a show last week because I was in New York City. Yes, New York City. And I was there for the New York City Marathon. And I want to start off before I sort of give a race recap. And trust me, it's not going to be a mile-by-mile recap because, well, all 26 or most of the 26.2 miles all sort of merged together. But there are definitely some things that I remember about the race, about the event, about prior to the race, after the race, etc., etc. But before I get into any of that, I want to give a very, very, very big, heartfelt thank you to everybody that contributed to the Innocence Project, even if it was $5 or all the way up to $500. I want to thank everybody. And I also want to thank those of you that wound up, even if you didn't contribute monetarily, if you shared the link to where people could donate to contribute to the Innocence Project. And I had a personal goal of raising $5,000 for the Innocence Project. And I'm happy to say that I surpassed that. I wound up, as of right now, and people can still contribute through the end of the month by going to run.fppradio.com. But right now I am sitting at $5,025 brought in for the Innocence Project. And yeah, I'm just overjoyed that I wound up meeting and surpassing the goal that I had set. The fundraising goal that was set by the Innocence Project, well, actually it was set by the New York Roadrunners, because the way charity spots in the New York Marathon work is the charity applies for a position, and then the New York Roadrunners gives them a certain allotment of runners and then sets the minimum threshold for the runners to raise. And the minimum was $3,500. Meaning that if I did not raise $3,500, then I would personally be held liable to cover the difference. And I wanted to, because I'm such a big supporter and fan of what the Innocence Project does, I wanted to raise $5,000. And again, I have surpassed that. And I'm just ecstatic at that. Now, I think I mentioned a couple of weeks ago that I will be running the Chicago Marathon next year, and I definitely want to get into that and the charity that I'm running for there. And it's a much lower goal as far as funding, and I'm still working on getting some matching funds for that, and I think that really helped with the New York Marathon fundraiser is having those matching funds, because then it doubles your dollar when you contribute. So let's talk about the New York City Marathon. Again, I've had not quite a week to sort of soak it all in and think about all of the wonderful things that happened. And early in the week, there was a thread in one of the many Facebook groups that I'm in, well, one of them specifically about the marathon, where people that ran were sharing some of their memories of what were your favorite parts. And actually, I think the thread was, what was your favorite part? And I can't think of just one thing. There were so many wonderful things about the event. Again, almost 53,000 people, all competing in the same event with the same goal of finish this race. And it's not just finish the race, but it's finish and enjoy and not get injured. And, well, not everybody was able to finish the race, and not everybody was uninjured. There's a story, and if I remember, I'll find the link and put it in the show notes, but there was one of the runners that had a heart attack during the race. Luckily, there was a doctor that was running the race not too far away from where this person happened to have had the heart attack, and he wound up stopping, administering CPR until medics could arrive. And the last report that I saw, the woman that had the heart attack is in stable condition. And it's just amazing what happened, to where, somebody who happened to have been a doctor heard somebody yelling for help and wound up stopping his race to help somebody that needed help. I personally didn't witness this, but I saw, again, in one of the Facebook groups that I'm in, somebody asked about this particular thing, and somebody else shared a news article about it. But let me talk about my favorite parts. Again, all of the people, not just the people running the race, not the nearly 2 million people that were there watching the race, but also the 10,000 volunteers. Yeah, you heard that number right. 10,000 volunteers. Nearly 2 million people that were spectators. And on top of that, there were also, paid staff. There was security for the event, and it was just amazing. It was kind of organized chaos, to where if you didn't know exactly what everybody was doing, it would just look chaotic, but it worked. And I know that there were some of the runners that wound up having trouble getting to the start area on time because of traffic and, I guess, miscommunication to a bus driver. But as far as I know, everybody that wanted to run the race, that was registered for the race, that showed up in New York, got to start the race. Let's continue here on Peace, Love, and Liberty Radio.
In 2115 New England, there are no borders, no states, and no regulations, yet never has a more peaceful and prosperous place existed. But Mr. Drake's security company has seen better days. Faced with the prospect of waning power, Mr. Drake intends to replace the anarchy of New England with a government. But at what cost? Will anybody care? And can anyone stop him? Anarchy in New England by Joe Jarvis is available from Amazon.com and all major bookstores.
Are you tired of governments murdering people around the world? Stop using their money. There is an alternative. Bitcoin is a stateless, free market, non-political currency. Bitcoin cannot be inflated or controlled by any government. By using their money, you are helping the state. Stop doing it. You have an incredible alternative available now. Learn it, use it, spread it. Get started with Bitcoin at weusecoins.com. That's weusecoins.com.
You're listening to Peace, Love, Liberty Radio with Darryl W. Perry. Online at fppradio.com.
Welcome back to Peace, Love, Liberty Radio. Online at fppradio.com. I'll jump back into the race recap. Or actually, I guess I'll start the race recap, because I've sort of talking about the race recap. But first, I want to make sure that I tell you about Horizon. Used to be known as Zencash. They did a rebranding a couple of months ago, but it's still the same great technology. Horizon is a privacy platform. It's not just a cryptocurrency. It is a privacy platform built on zero-knowledge technology with a decentralized secure node architecture. The Horizon platform enables real-life uses beyond currency, including the ability to privately chat with other people. Soon, Horizon will enable you to publish information and go anywhere on the web, all with complete privacy. Horizon, bringing privacy to life. Learn more at horizon.global. That's Horizen, horizon.global. So let's actually jump into this race recap. Again, this race could not have happened without, again, tens of thousands of volunteers, or actually over 10,000 volunteers, the millions of people that were spectating, and I guess the race could happen without spectators, but they definitely play a huge part in the atmosphere of the race. And then, of course, the paid staff for the race itself. Again, my favorite parts, a lot of the signs that were held by spectators. There were a bunch of people with signs that said, like, slap this sign for a power-up, and they would have video game stuff on it. And, of course, when I hit one of the little video game power-up signs, yeah, I would make video game noises. Boop, 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 boop. And then just, like, run faster for a little bit. Right? Because that's what you do if you're a video game and you get a power up. You're a little bit faster for a bit. And then, of course, a lot of people wanting to give high fives. And then people that would see the Innocence Project written on my shirt. And they just yell out cheers of encouragement. I actually gave high five to a dog. I petted a few dogs. And let me explain when I say I gave a high five to a dog. Somebody had one of these, like a big giant poodle thing that was standing up on its hind legs, and he had the paws hanging out. And he was like, yeah, give the dog some paw. And I just, like high-fiving everybody. And there's dog, and high-five a dog. Petted some dogs. High-fived a bunch of little kids. Gave some random lady a hug. Now, it wasn't just like I walked over to somebody and gave them a hug. The lady had a sign that said, free hugs, even if you're sweaty. And at whatever point in the race this was, it was kind of late. Yeah, I was sweaty, but I still ran over, gave this lady a hug. And then at mile 22, I got a Twizzler from a stranger. Speaking of candy from strangers, there were actually people that had signs that said, strangers with candy. There were other people that had signs that just said leftover Halloween candy. One of my favorites said, I walked 0.000262 miles from upstairs. A play on the 26.2 miles. There were other signs that said, on a scale of 1 to 10, you're a 26.2. Kanye West sign that said, I'm going to let you finish. And again, just a bunch of signs. And some of them funny, some of them inspirational, some of them both. Reading on here, and I did take some notes. Like I said, I posted on a thread earlier this week. What were some of my favorite things? So the crowds, the strangers, of course, they were strangers. I didn't know any of them. Crossing the finish line. Yeah, that's always a highlight, right? Because you finally did the thing. You crossed the finish line. And, best of all, I set a personal best by 5 minutes. Well, 4 minutes and 59 seconds. My previous marathon time, New York was my second. My previous marathon time was 4 hours, 33 minutes, and 21 seconds. New York City was 4 hours, 28 minutes, 22 seconds. That's a 5-minute improvement. Yeah, I'm going to celebrate that, right? And then you cross the finish line, you get what's referred to as a heat sheet, where it's, like some like foil type thing, and it keeps you warm a little bit. And then you get your medal. And then, well, I had to go to the medical tent. And thank you, medical staff. I'm not sure if you're listening or not, But the medical staff was amazing. And nothing major. Don't worry. It was nothing major. I just started cramping up, and I could tell that I was getting dehydrated at about mile 21, 22, because I just could not get enough fluid in me at the water stations. 2 Gatorades, 3 cups of water, and then pour a 4th cup on my head, and I was still thirsty. I probably should have stopped at a medical tent at about mile 22, 23. But I didn't want to because I knew that I could PR. I had a goal time in mind. I actually had 3 different times in mind. So the ultimate goal was 4:15. I did not make that. And then I was thinking up until about mile 24, I might be able to get 4:20. I'm still on pace. I can get 4:20. And then I just was slowing down a little bit. And then I noticed on my watch, which is a fitness tracker, oh, wow, I'm a good bit off of what the distance is because I've been running a lot extra, and that wound up hurting me as well. So I wound up finishing the marathon, which is a 26.2 mile race, by running 26.76 miles. So all of the extra running to give people high fives and weaving around people. Yeah, I did an extra mile, which definitely wound up hurting me a little bit on time, but it was so fun. And again, medical staff was amazing. And when I left the medical tent, I got a sweet, sweet poncho. And then, stay tuned. I'll tell you about the and then here on Peace, Love, Liberty Radio.
It is the year 91,001 BCE. Witness humanity's origins in Hyperchronius, a classic role-playing game for Windows PCs with a story like no other game before. A liberty-oriented experience that is not to be missed. Go to zog.ninja to get your copy of Hyperchronius today. Use the code FPP to get $1 off. Hyperchronius, zog.ninja, code FPP.
You can support FPP Radio by joining the Fans program. Fans are friends, allies, and numerary supporters. Fans help FPP afford to produce more original content. You can join the Fans program for as little as $3 per month through Patreon and get perks like ad-free versions of FPP Radio News and Peace, Love, Liberty Radio. To learn more or to join the Fans program, visit fans.fppradio.com. That's fans.fppradio.com.
This is Will Coley of the Call to Freedom, and you're listening to Darryl W. Perry on Peace, Love, Liberty Radio.
Hey, welcome back to Peace, Love, Liberty Radio, online at fppradio.com. I am your host, Darryl W. Perry, the Liberty Penguin, the Wombat, the uncut cocaine of libertarianism, and we're talking about the New York City Marathon because it was absolutely amazing, and I did it on Sunday. And next year, I've already signed up for 2 marathons for next year. Signed up for both of them before New York City because apparently I'm a crazy person who does the run thing a lot now. So got Bay of Fundy Marathon in June and the Chicago Marathon in October. And I'm still thinking that I'm going to sign up for Ghost Train. I know previously I had said that I was going to do it, but based on the weekends that it is, Ghost Train, I believe, is going to be 7 days after Chicago Marathon. So, yeah, I'm probably going to go ahead and just sign up and have Chicago be a long run for me, even though I should really be tapering that week. But, yeah, I'm probably just going to go ahead and sign up for 30 hours on the Ghost Train and shoot for my first 100-miler next year. But let's continue talking about New York, because there was one more thing that was just absolutely amazing, and I'm glad that I was able to go be a part of. And that was Project Finish. Now, if you've never heard of Project Finish, and there were a lot of people that I spoke to that had never heard of Project Finish, It was, or is, an event that happens at, as far as I know, it's really only at New York, but I'm hoping that it will wind up expanding to include other races, where Project Finish is to encourage people, specifically runners, that have finished the race already, to come back late in the day after the crowds have left. So with New York Marathon, if you want to sit in the grandstands right near the finish, you've got to pay $50 to get a grandstand ticket. And there's a certain point in the day where they wind up, basically clearing out the grandstands. And they start removing support from the roads. They start removing water stations. They start reopening streets. They start removing barriers. And at that point, a crowd begins to gather at the finish line. Again, most of the people at the finish line at this point in the day are people who had previously finished the race. People who had finished, gone home, taken a shower, gone back to the hotel, taken a shower, gotten supper, and then came back to cheer on and encourage the slower runners, the last finishers. And it's one of those things to where you don't know how long you're going to be there. I had, planned to possibly be there until midnight, because I had heard that sometimes it's midnight before the last finisher comes in. All right, I'll be there. And I had my cowbell, big, huge, giant cowbell, that whenever I saw somebody start coming up the final 800 meters or so, click-clang, 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 cowbells going. There was music playing. It was a party at the finish line. And some of the stories of these final runners were just absolutely amazing. Tear-jerking, even. One of them, Hannah, I forget if it's Gravios or Gavios, story in Runner's World about her. I will pull up the link and put that in the show notes. She, a couple of years ago, to avoid a sexual assault, wound up jumping off of a cliff, 150 feet. She is now paralyzed, but she completed the New York City Marathon on crutches. And I'm so happy that I was able to witness that. And I think one of the most amazing things about Project Finish, aside from all of the people that were there, I would say a couple of hundred people were there until 10 o'clock at night, watching the final finishers come in. Some of the literal champions that were there. Des Linden, who won the Boston Marathon this year, she came back for Project Finish. She was standing at the finish line putting medals around people's necks. Meb, and I can't pronounce his last name, champion marathoner, was there putting medals around people's necks. Tatiana McFadden, a wheelchair racer, world champion, she was there encouraging others. And the race director, who just retired, this was his final New York City Marathon as race director, he was there finishing or crossing the finish line with all of the last runners, with, I believe, one exception. And it was so funny seeing this, because race director Peter Cha-Cha, I think I'm pronouncing that right, he's finishing with somebody, giving them a hug, getting the medal around their neck. This person's being interviewed by the camera crew that was there. And then somebody just sprints the last 100 meters. It's like, where did this person come from? That is amazing. Stay tuned. There's more here on Peace, Love, Liberty Radio, online at fppradio.com.
You can support FPP Radio by shopping online. Whether you're looking for precious metals, bitcoins, or books, you'll find that and more at shop.fppradio.com. Every purchase you make from one of my affiliates, like Namecheap, Spendabit, and Amazon at shop.fppradio.com helps fund FPP Radio. Or you can shop directly from FPP with Bitcoin in the Bitcoin store. That's shop.fppradio.com. The Doublespeak Dictionary by Leslie Starr O'Hara satirizes the marked difference between the ideal of we the people and the reality of we the elite, while offering an insightful glimpse into the clockworks of the totalitarian mind. Ever irreverent but never irrelevant, the Doublespeak Dictionary serves as a subversive and humorous but timely reminder that the emperor has no clothes. The Doublespeak Dictionary is available from Amazon.com and all major bookstores.
You're listening to Peace, Love, Liberty Radio with Darryl W. Perry. Online at fppradio.com.
Welcome back to Peace, Love, Liberty Radio. Online at fppradio.com. Before I finish the show, I want to make sure that I tell you about Spendabit. It's a search engine for things where you can use your cryptocurrency and Bitcoin, other cryptocurrencies. Yeah, they've got over 3 million products aggregated from thousands of cryptocurrency-enabled merchants. Keep your money in the free economy. Spend a bit. Use my affiliate link, spendabit.fppradio.com. And if you're a crypto-accepting merchant like I am, ask about their merchant suite to reach even more customers. Spend a bit. .fppradio.com. That's spend a bit, all one word, spendabit.fppradio.com. So, just a little bit more that I want to say about the New York City Marathon. And yes, I did not intend to talk about this the entire show, but sometimes things just happen, right? Let's talk about the numbers. Again, 10,000 volunteers. Runner's World has this article. It says, blessed by perfect marathon weather, 53,121 people started the race at the Verrazano Narrows Bridge on Staten Island, New York, according to preliminary reports. Of those, 52,812 athletes made it across the race's famed finish line in Central Park. That's a completion rate of 99.4%, which is a world record. Yeah, so I am 152,812th of a world record holder, based on my math, right? Like, I get a share of that world record, I think. The previous high was 51,383, making New York City the largest marathon to ever be run. The Chicago Marathon this year was second largest with 44,610. Last month, the Paris Marathon in April had 42,525 finishers. Now let's look at some of these other numbers that I personally find very interesting. Of the finishers, 22,143 were women, 129 countries represented, all 50 states, plus the District of Criminals and Puerto Rico. I'll be back next week answering your questions. Send those over, ama.fppradio.com.
The podcasts of FPP Radio are licensed under Copy Heart. We believe that copying is a form of flattery and do not abide by the copyright laws. Those laws serve to restrict the flow of ideas which no one can really own. Copying is an act of love. Love is not subject to law. If you enjoy the show, consider joining the Fans program and get perks like ad-free versions of Peace, Love, Liberty Radio and FPP Radio News, and also get a copy of the monthly newspaper FPP News. To learn more or to join the Fans program, visit fans.fppradio.com.